Hello, UCR. What's your favorite scary movie?
A big boo and hello to everyone out there in Uncensored Horrorland. Welcome back to the strangest trio of people you will ever meet. We are we are here. We are back again. We are ready to chew the fat, I guess. Stab things. I couldn't think of a stabbing analogy to really go with it.
Blurring out of existence here for anyone watching, but it's okay.
That's okay. That's
That's
Luke's that's the outside expression of Luke's interior state. It's blurry. Welcome back to Uncensored Horror, folks. It's been a little minute, but we are back again, and we are picking up where we left off. Strangely enough, we're here to continue the story. Well, kind of continue the story of a very popular franchise that has now been, I guess, hard rebooted. And we'll discuss the success or lack of today when we discuss The Strangers. Chapter 1? Question mark?
Now, you say
Now,
reboot, but do you think this is a prequel, right?
I don't think so because I have done my due diligence, and literally just before when you logged in, Luke, I was watching the last second of the movie. I did a rewatch, like a really swift rewatch, because The Strangers is now available on video on demand. So we thought we would give it a little time. It is now available on video on demand, so you can scare yourself silly in your own home. You don't have to go to the cinemas to check it out. Now, The Strangers Chapter 1 is obviously based on the original film by Brian Bertino, which we have already discussed. If you haven't checked out that review, go back and check it out. But this is, as I said, Chapter 1 of 3 new movies that are coming out within a reasonable time frame. We haven't really got that time frame yet, but we will discuss all of that and what is to come. Now, where we left The Strangers was at the I think we all agree, the underrated sequel, Strangers Prey at Night, where
absolutely
everything was wrapped up, kind of. It was wrapped up very cleanly, and we waited, and then heard news of not one but 3 movies being made, and this is the first offering of which. Now, it is. I saw this in cinemas. I'll admit, I definitely went and saw this in cinemas, and as I said, it's available on video on demand now. So I watched it again just before this review. I think that we've all had a pretty similar viewing status of this one. It's been like, yeah, watch it, get it done, get it out there so we can talk about it. So, without going to, we'll do the thing. We'll do the thing that we normally do. Spoiler alert. We're going to be discussing the plot of The Strangers. Yes, thank you. The Strangers, Chapter 1. You have yet to see the movie?
We get into this, has anyone found Tamara yet?
No, she's a very, very hard girl to find, right? She's difficult.
No one has found Tamara.
No. Maybe that's the end of the movie. We're gonna find out who Tamara is.
Tester, the Tamara.
She's just gonna show up and like, hey, I think someone's looking for me. I'm Tamara.
Yeah, I know. Oh, right. So we pick up in the modern day. Now, we were discussing this in our last review, where this sits in the horror in the home, where this sits in the mainstream like storyline of the first two movies. And I think it is definitely a hard reboot because we've got smartphones, we've got internet banking, we've got push ignition cars. It's not a prequel. It's definitely not a prequel. It's probably the most modern of all of them, I would assume.
A shameless plugging of all the
Yeah.
internet.
Also, yeah, it's all very
Very weird.
yeah.
Very weird.
Some stuff that leads nowhere.
Mhm.
But with our new two protagonists, Maya and her boyfriend Ryan, as they drive cross country for her to do a job interview in Boston. Now,
Can I
Maya
just
is.
say they're an attractive couple.
They are, but we're going to talk about them right now. Maya is played by Madeline Pesh, who is one of the stars of the now finished Riverdale, and Froy, yes, that's right, Froy Gutierrez. Now, what do we think of these nubile young stars and new focal points, as
Well,
it is?
He's batting out of his league.
Yeah, look.
Cute. They're both very good looking. I don't know. Can I compare it to the original film already though, or are we going to be nice?
I think we're gonna have to. Like, there's no real way of not comparing it to the first film, right?
I feel like they look great. They act adequately. There was nothing wrong with their performances, but I think we've done a downgrade in the acting chops here.
Oh God, I did not. I didn't care about them as much as I cared about the original characters. I got to be honest. I mean,
Do you know? And I it took me a rewatch, and I know that you guys have only seen this once. It took me a rewatch to kind of go, I know what's wrong. I know what's wrong with this movie.
he is just. He's such a sissy.
He's not a great actor.
On
a second watch.
See, on Pride Month, are you really going to say?
Listen, a gay man would have fought a lot harder. Let's just be honest here. A lot
on
harder.
On a second watch, his character was very meh, and not
exactly.
and not really active in the story. But I feel like she definitely acted rings around him on the rewatch. You're like, oh, okay, cool. There are stakes. But the thing that really stood out to me, especially comparing it to the two movies prior, there's no internal struggle with these characters. The first movie was, Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler's character have had that huge falling out. They've had the failed marriage proposal. It's all about tension within the relationship that then unfolds into tension in their real world. Same thing with the second movie. The family are slowly being pulled apart by the actions of the daughter, only to be then pulled apart by the strangers and, hunted down. And
they tried.
Yeah.
They tried to put a little tension there, like, I know you're moving across the country for me for this interview, but it's like he's like, yeah, but it's worth it. Like the
stakes are there.
he's like not even trying to be bothered by it. Like, oh well.
Yeah. And this is Luke and I have had brief discussions about the movie prior to the review, and they're like, wait, we'll talk about it on the show. It does feel like they're trying to relaunch. Like, we are hitting a lot of the same beats in that first movie. Instead of like a farm, it's a forest.
Mm-hmm.
But it hits the same beats, and it may as well be the same film in some parts. But it's not. I think the first film was just shot in a way that built that tension, whereas this one, it was trying to and just flailing. That's how I felt.
Can I give you 2 words to maybe explain that?
Sure.
Reddy Harlan.
Well,
he's directed this, and he's directing all 3 of these movies.
And I felt like with the original one, you felt like they came together really quickly as a team. You know, like they understood they needed each other to survive. With this one, I really felt like he looked to her a lot.
Totally.
For everything, really. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I understand that that's normal in a relationship for one person to, quote unquote, wear the pants. Right. But like in a time where there is like life or death, you can usually understand that we got to work together in order to survive this. And I really felt like he said, oh shit, I'm just going to kind of
You've got to do something. You've got to do something. That's the thing. You've got to do something.
Yeah, I feel like he really never did. Even in the scenes where he didn't.
Yeah. It was a big F.
Yeah.
But we're jumping ahead. Let's kind of separate where these movies, as I said, where they differ. Now, these two are driving cross country, celebrating their 5th anniversary, and headed to Boston for her to do a job interview where they stop.
Dating.
Yes, they stop. They stop in a small town called Venus. Now, to me, I think it's a bit too tropey when we get to the small town and we get the "you're late from around here" kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to set up already that, you know, it might. We didn't need. I think they're trying to add a whodunit murder mystery into it. That it could be the townspeople doing this to them, or like, did we get that? I was like, I don't think we needed it.
Like, it got too much of a, you ain't from around here. That's not how we do things around here. You city folk versus country folk kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, it's
the religious aspect
where people obviously stop by. You're not going to treat your customers like that anyway, are you?
Right, and they're clearly not that outdated because they have phones. They have, you know, they have technology.
Food truck.
Yes, like it's not. It's
what the rest of the world's like.
Yeah, it's not that out of touch. It just felt kind of overdone and not done very well at that.
Yeah, we kind of shit the bed without mentioning that there was a pre-introduction scene where we see a man running through the forest that is hunted down by Baghead, and that's really it. We find out that he is a missing person and has been missing since eating at that diner. So, you know, we are doing a bit of a red herring kind of moment. And I think it's interesting that the preamble is about the violent acts that happen in America, and it's like in the time that you've watched this movie, 7 have happened or something like that. Like it gives that kind of thing. I feel like it should have maybe been a missing persons thing instead, if like that's the angle we're going for, because I don't know, it's confused already.
Yeah, and like I thought I liked the angle it was starting at. Like, ooh, okay, like because when you know what the movie's about, okay, that makes sense. But then you're going in a totally different direction when you have all these missing people posters. Like,
yes,
and I get
that's a more interesting comment, I think, to make, as opposed to acts of violence, because.
And I mean, I guess it's supposed to go hand in hand because, you know, these people are missing because of these acts of violence. But like, you could have paired these two facts together, like acts of violence, missing people.
It's sloppy. It's sloppy already.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sloppy. And after they have a rather awkward, you know, interchange with the people in the diner, they go to get in their car that does not start, and officially creepy Rudy, who looks like he's just wandered off the set of Scooby-Doo. Rudy, the mechanic, offers to fix their car, and of course there's an Airbnb to stay in because, you know, it's the modern times. So there's an Airbnb. An internet house. I did like that. See, they should have pushed that a bit further. Like, there's potential here. Rewatching it a second time, I see a lot more potential than I saw the first time. And I think the location was just underused. We've had, you know, the that first one was kind of weirdly suburban, like the outer edges of suburbia. The second one was in this isolated trailer park at the end of season, and this one's in the woods in the middle of nowhere. It could have been something very, very different, as the strangers say. When they ask their famous question, we get a different response this time because we're in a different location. But the location, I think, is underused. Any time, as Katie said, we get a bit of a sloppy reveal that he needs his inhaler, and that kind of doesn't really play off that much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have all these pieces.
The point of the inhaler, I'm like, okay, I get it. This is going to play a part later on in the film. He's going to have an attack or whatever. But it was just very, what's the word? It was just they were telegraphing everything.
Yeah,
like,
it was. Yeah,
with it.
It was very. It feels like this is the PG-13 remake of the original. It's for the kids.
And I felt like in the first film,
whereas the other one was for adults.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I felt like the house sort of was a character too. Like you kind of knew the house by the end of the film, and you felt that isolation, even though it was suburbia, but the houses were far apart. Whereas this, like, I don't know, it kind of just, it felt shoddy.
Because what they're trying to do is focus on the relationship between these people. They're trying to get us to care about them, but
we'll make it interesting.
The time they sacrifice in the story for us to try and care about the relationship takes away from stuff that could have really made it more tense when it could have been. So obviously we're at the Airbnb. The fridge doesn't work, so they have to call the Airbnb guy. So he's going to come and fix the fridge, etc., until we get the knock on the door. And the ever-present question.
Is Tamara home?
Tamara is not home. I feel like Tamara doesn't have a pager. Tamara doesn't have a cell phone. No one ever knows where Tamara is.
Tamara never forwards her mail. She never lets anyone know where she's going.
She's very high maintenance, our Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
But, in stock standard tradition, we can't see this girl. And she wanders away. They turn the porch light back on. It's nice that they have those little nods to the original movies and all that happens. But I feel like the best parts of this movie happen when Madeleine Pest is alone.
Yes, agreed.
Right?
Right, but I also feel like they're very tropey. And not in a good way.
I feel like, rewatching it, I've picked what's wrong. I found out what's wrong. Sound and soundtrack were so important to the first two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Iconically so, right? The record players, like the songs on the radio, all really informed, commented on, or set up tension within scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not there for this movie.
No.
It's not there at all.
Well, like, let me give you an example. So, Madeleine's alone. She's trying to shake off these nerves. She's smoking. So obviously anything that's going on is obviously due to the marijuana. And I get why they're setting it up like that. They want to make her an unreliable narrator. And I feel like this trope is really, really overused. There are so many other ways to do it. It's an old house. You could play off the environmental noise. She's in the middle of nowhere. There's woods, there's animals. There are so many different ways to make it seem like it could be anything, but you have to go the easy route and you have to say she's high, she's hallucinating. It's all in her head. That is just,
I don't know what kind of weed it was then, because has anyone here ever had hallucinations?
Serial killers? No.
Well, no, but when you're high, you can't trust what you're doing. And
also, I get what you're saying. They could have given her motivation here. They could like she could have been left alone when as a child and something horrible happened, or she knows about the stuff that happened in the original movie, and that like there could have
She
been
wants to break it
something
off
that
with the dude
serviced
or
the
something.
plot.
It was just such a cheap trope to use. Like, she's smoking, so obviously she's high and she's imagining it because she's
That
stoned.
being said, though, there are glimpses of the original movie here when she answers the door to the door knocking again, and the baghead scarecrow guy just wanders past.
Oh,
That generally made me go, "Oh God!" Like there are those moments in this movie, but it only ever happens when she's by herself.
Or when she's playing piano and it just kind of
And he's in the background, in the mirror. Like, that was brilliant.
That got me good.
It definitely got me good. And there's another part later. Actually, I lied. There's one part when they're together and I went, and like that gave me. But those are few and far between. I think, as I said, the movie is a lot stronger when she's isolated and she gets to see, like, she gets the scenes. Because I don't know whether they didn't know how to write this guy or they didn't know what kind of character he should be. Is he supposed, because he's supposed to be kind of douchey, right? Because of the way he talks to the people.
I don't
in the diner. He's like, all I'm waiting on right now is my turkey melt. It's like, okay, fuck with, like,
supposed to be douchey. I think he's just supposed to be kind of like a dimwit. He's just kind of like, he's trying to be charming and he's trying to be silly, but he's coming off as a douche. He doesn't mean to, but he is.
Yeah,
I don't think he's trying.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of douchey, and even like later on when he went to get the food and stuff, he seemed like a bit of a douche there too.
I don't think he's written as a bro. I think he's just kind of giving off those bro vibes.
Maybe that might come down to just poor directing choices, poor directing and acting choices coupled together.
Right. I don't think he was written as a bro. I think that's just kind of how it happened.
Yeah, it's all good. So the cat and mouse stuff that's happening to her in the house by herself is good. I like that kind of stuff. The shower was another effective one where all of a sudden, you've definitely had those moments when you're like in the shower. Imagine if I turned around, someone was there. Like, we've definitely had those moments, and you're like, okay, it actually happened to her. But the reveal that somebody was in the house was really sloppy. Like, I feel like every time that we've discovered that someone's broken into the house, it's been a thing. All of a sudden, the lights go out and Dollface is there, and then she screams and runs and hides. Like, it's not tense.
Yeah,
there's no tension there.
Someone's just broken into your house. You kind of you would leave, completely leave.
And then I think the other problem is they then cut away from that scene to show him at a food truck for no reason. Just to give us more suspects. It might be the townies. Like,
because she was hungry, because she had the munchies. And the best part is she's a vegetarian. How are you going to get this woman anything to eat? Like, at all?
Cheeseburger with no burger.
Like, you've made it damn near impossible for her to get any kind of snack when you've made her a vegetarian. Like, how are you going to do this? Like, you've made this whole trip kind of useless. Right?
Yeah. Vegetarian. What was the purpose?
What was the point in that? Yeah, what was the point? What was the purpose of the plot in that?
Exactly. It's just these like silly little points you've made.
It's like, like when the garbage disposal goes off. I'm like, oh my god, someone's hand's going in that garbage disposal later.
Right.
No, nothing happens with the garbage disposal.
Mm-mm.
It's like, if you show something, it's gotta have a point. It does have to have a point. But Ryan returns and just basically, as Katie says, poo-poos everything because she's high. and everything just goes back to normal. It's like, okay,
No,
yeah,
for
cool, no worries.
like you don't hallucinate someone breaking and entering. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, the weed
in
ain't
a
that
in a
good.
mask, punching you with a knife, like, and you,
Especially
yeah,
when you've
that must
already
be
had
some
some
weed.
weirdo knocking on the door, which you both have seen. So I would then say, yeah, she's broken in.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
I'd be like, it's time to go, Buffy. Let's go. Like, jump out of that place. It's time to go. And then, yeah, look, I'm very
Bug at it,
confused.
darling.
I'm just very confused. We get this dinner scene where it's like, oh, you're a messy eater. Okay, you can't tell the difference between ketchup dripping from a burger and blood dripping from the ceiling.
Yeah, that was. I mean, good scare, good jump scare, good jump scare. But it was
could
like
have
it came
been.
out of nowhere.
It could, yeah, like, I mean, we've seen the chickens, but like,
Wouldn't you have actually seen the bloody bird hanging up though if you were sitting down to eat? Like, was it
Yeah.
like 10 feet above them?
these
No.
people don't look at the like. These roofs aren't 7 feet tall.
Right, and
Like,
what wouldn't it have been dripping all along?
yeah,
Like,
it's not like they
No,
lowered
wanted
it
to
through a
wait till they were
skylight or
eating.
anything. Yeah, that chicken held on. It's like, no, I don't think so. But so then this is when the attack really well and truly begins, like pretty stock standard Stranger stuff with Scarecrow / Baghead hacking away at doors with an axe. But again, no reaction. We all just sit against the wall and go, "Oh, okay, cool." Like,
It killed any tension. Like, what was going on? Why would you just sit there? Like, I get people
what you would be
freeze and get
looking for
frightened.
some kind of
Fucking
weapon,
throw
right?
something through that window and out. Gone. Put the
And
pillow on
again,
it, just punch it.
the music choice didn't work. Like, the music choice for this didn't work. They've done so especially, like, I think it makes everyone realize and appreciate just how well they did it in Pray at Night. Use the music to, you know, comment on the situation, amplify it, and really make the soundtrack become part of the movie. This is just going, oh, when people get attacked, there's a song playing on the radio or the record player. So we'll do that. It's just like, really? And there's no reaction to like the bloody hellos written on the doors and the smiley faces everywhere. We get a slight reaction to a smashed phone, but it's just like, okay, like, react.
yeah.
React to this stuff. Like, be horrified. It's like you're expecting it to happen. I'm like, no, this is not what happens when you go into the country.
I feel like
Despite
these
popular
two were
belief.
easy prey for the killers. Like, there wasn't a lot of fight in them, really.
No, not at all. Now, I must say, when they go outside and the motorcycle blows up, that was cool.
That was very cool.
I was down for that. And then you see, like, the killers all gathering. I'm like, this is cool. I was like, okay, now it's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're outside. They're going to get, you know. No. No, it's like,
Funny shot.
it's like, oh, okay, cool. Then I was like, okay, we're going to go back inside. We're going to use the crawl space. Awesome. Crawl space, something amazing is going to happen. We get a nail through the head, which was cool.
Ow.
I know. I love that she crawled
I was
for the whole,
like,
for the whole
I
thing.
hope
She
she's
crawls on
gonna
her.
tetanus shots.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know,
Ow.
probably wasn't really that pressing a matter at the time when you probably die soon anyway.
I mean, I'm going to give that girl so much credit because, yeah, I wouldn't be able to stay quiet. I don't care what kind of situation I'm in. I would have been screaming, cursing. Just, I would have been dead.
But even his reaction to her being in pain isn't a reaction. I'm like, does this guy not know human, like, I don't know, Scott, you think of Scott Speedman's character, even though this girl broke his heart, like, well and truly, broke his heart and stomped on it, the minute she's in danger, he puts himself in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same here.
I mean, because you could tell,
At
like,
all.
they're both broken by the fact that, like, their relationship has just disintegrated, but they both still very much love each other
Yeah.
in that movie. This one, it's just like, what are you two doing? Are you just like banging? What's going on here?
Yeah, like what's going on, bro? You got a nail stuck in your head? Oh, cool, nice.
Just don't get that on my
Not
camera.
even. Like, and then they get outside and they make a run for it to the next building. This is the one part that I thought was good when she lit the fucking torch and the doll face is just standing behind them. I was like, oh no, that wasn't cool. Like, they do that. I don't understand how you can't translate these really cool moments, small moments of tension and jump scare into something a little bit more long lasting. Like, did you watch these first two movies? Do you understand what you're trying to remake?
Momentum. Like, it struggled to maintain
The pacing's the pacing's all over the place. And then he leaves her downstairs to be attacked again. Like, he's it's an abandonment parable. Like, he leaves her to be attacked constantly. It's just like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this poor girl, she's just confident left, right, and center. And I feel like once we've hit this point in the movie, it's all really happening quickly. But it's also really slow to have. Like, there's no sense of action or tension. Like, it's just like, okay, they're gone again. Oh, they're back again. Oh, they're gone again. It's like, we should be. Even think back to when Liv Tyler in the original was in the garage, like, in trying to get that radio to work, and we knew that they're still out there. There was tension in that scene, going, where are these people? What's going to happen? The same with, when they were hunting the kids after they dispatched the parents in the second one. There was a constant sense of danger in the night in an area that they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there isn't any stakes. There's nothing. Like, it's just like, okay, we're going to wander around until we wander back in front of them. And of course, we get the fake out scene of, oh my God, I've killed one of them, when they manage to find a shotgun and shoot someone trying to get into the door of the house, who happens to be the owner of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Someone they've never met, so why would they, that you would care if you killed someone, but the first film, it was their friend. It was horrible.
Right.
And again, emotional stakes. Emotional stakes.
Like, that scene was devastating when they shot their friend. I mean, you could see it all over their faces, like, oh my God, I just killed my friend. Like, it was just such a break in the tension, because, oh my God,
and then
what have I done?
Adding something completely new to the list of horrible shit that's happening to this couple. Right. They're now responsible for the death of their friend.
And then you it's just like such a break for a second, like, oh, my friend, I killed my friend. What have I done? What have I done? And then you realize for a second, we're still in danger.
We're still in danger. Yeah, exactly.
Well, when they shot the dude who owns the house, I almost expected one of them to say, like, oh, we're not going to get the fridge fixed now. Like, that's the level of tension I was experiencing.
His reaction wasn't something... Her reaction, yes. I feel like she's guiding this movie. Like,
you know
like,
what?
if you want the audience to understand... If you want the audience to understand what the movie's about, Madeline Pesh will tell you.
Right, but it's funny, that comment right there just makes me think, like, it reminds me of if you've been watching the commentary lately on TikTok, it's very much the zebras guiding Northwest on the stage for The Lion King.
Yeah. Like, let's shuffle this pretty boy around from scene to scene and have him try and act his way. Like, if you kill a stranger, if you kill a stranger, have it, at least be angry. Like, at least have a reaction.
Like, you've just taken an innocent life. Like, be a little remorseful, be a little upset, be angry. Like, they've just caused you to kill someone that you didn't have to kill. Like, I would be feeling so many different emotions. I'd be upset, I'd be angry, I'd be scared, I'd be sad, I'd be all these different emotions. He's just like,
yeah. And this is This is where they lost me. I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get in this car. We're going to drive away. Okay. We get T-boned, and then we just sit there and look at the car as it reverses away again.
It's like, go.
It's like,
go.
if you're in shock, then you need to be a good enough actor to portray that you're in shock. Not just go.
Right. Like,
and then get T-boned again, and again, and again. She's screaming. She's doing her best bit, you know.
If I were her, I would have just been so frustrated. Like, I'm giving you all I got. Give me something.
Right? Yeah. So they get separated, which I think I feel like they should have been separated earlier.
See, when they got separated and she went into the woods, this kind of frustrated me so much.
Yeah, like this is where it turns into generic slasher territory.
So
right?
Yes. And I'll tell you why this frustrated me, because she's back to where the original guy was in the beginning, right? She's in the pit, she's hiding under leaves, and I'm like, this bitch is good. Like, she is smart. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's hiding under these leaves. Theoretically, she could camp out there all night if she just stayed under those leaves. She's got a good chance for survival. All she has to do is lay there. All you have to do is lay down, maybe get some tick bites.
Yeah.
Maybe a little Lyme disease. Okay? These are all things that are so minor in the grand scheme of things. Like, either get killed, get Lyme disease.
Yeah.
Like, let's think about this for a second. Let's think about this. So you could hide under the leaves, camp out until it's daylight, and probably like run back to town and be like, hey, my boyfriend's probably dead. It's fine. He was kind of worthless anyways. But yeah, they just attacked me in that internet cabin you recommended, which, by the way, 0 stars.
Yeah, right.
The guy's dead anyways, so that thing's probably not gonna, be happening anymore. But instead, she's just so dead set on calling 911. And I get you're panicked, you want to help this guy, but just like think about it for a second. You could have survived
on a flip phone.
On a flip phone. She's trying to call 911 on a flip phone, and she's unburying herself. Just to.
Do you think that she could be seen? Do you think Dollface could see her?
No, I think I think she was very well camouflaged.
Okay, interesting.
I think
because she manages to get attacked and captured. Basically, that's the short end of the stick.
Right, because
she comes out from hiding.
I think if she just laid there, took a nap, and waited it out, she probably would have been fine.
Yeah, one of those horror naps you take. Oh, I'm tired.
I'm just
meanwhile, Ryan, who has let's go over this. Ryan, who has fallen over and hurt his knee once already, forgot about that halfway through the whole thing, then gets pinned in the car by the leg, and is kind of walking fine through the woods.
Yeah,
screaming out her name, screaming out Maya's name, like. You have a shot like once he got out of that car and walked away from that Dodge, running with the keys in it. I'm like, what? Like what? There was no one around to stop you from getting in that car, reversing it, and driving off. That would have almost made it better. Like. Leave her to me like, the star of the rest of the movie.
Be the douche you are and just
be the douche and run away. That would have made a more interesting story than you just trying to be alpha, run around screaming her name, faking out that you're going to shoot someone in the head. I'm frustrated.
I'm going to shoot you. Okay.
You're my second kill. It's like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Not really, because you accidentally shot the other person. You had no intention.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, Scott Speedman's character had every intention of shooting to kill the person that was coming through the door. He just didn't know that it was his friend. Was set up, And it was a setup. That's the thing with that first movie. their friend being killed was a coincidence, but it was a setup. The strangers saw it happen. They terrorized the fuck out of them to
Mhm.
get them to that level of panic and hysteria
Mhm.
to then, drive them over the edge and end up killing it. This is just a happy coincidence that happens, and there's nothing made of it. Like, there's so many missed moments and it's just not. And then he just gets knocked out as well.
Mhm.
And you know what? We're at the end of the
Finally.
movie. Like, we're at the end of the movie because whenever you see this, nothing good's gonna happen.
No, it's done.
No.
Nothing good's gonna happen.
It took us a bit to get there, but we got
Who
there.
felt that tension? Like in the first film, it was
No.
just that.
It was
sense of
heartbreaking.
dread.
That
It
was
awful.
that was horror. That was probably the most horrifying moment of the movie because after everything that they tried to do, they were captured
Oh, God.
and they were
And like,
hopeless.
and they took off the masks in front of them, so like
And
you knew that.
live tight. Yeah, see, and
That
when they
first
took off
movie-
the masks,
yeah.
like, oh,
That first
Yeah.
movie, I was crying. I was devastated. I wanted them to live so badly. I just wanted them to survive this and find their happy ending. Like, I never want them to live at the end of a movie. I no survivors. They don't deserve to live ever.
Like,
I
but
wanted them to live
even
so badly.
Madeline Pesh is trying to act, and she's like, "They caught us, but you didn't try and run. Of course, they caught you. Of course, they caught you.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't try that hard to not get caught. Like, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And then,
it's, would you marry me?
would you marry? No, I wouldn't because you.
Yeah, probably a really, really bad time to ask something like that.
Yeah.
Like, time and place. I didn't feel any sentimentality. I just thought there's something.
get why
actually
they're
wrong with
doing
it.
it. Just
Yeah, I got the setup, but like by this point, I actually thought that he's a little bit like not okay.
They're trying to oversense, like they're trying to go, we're exactly the same as the couple in the first movie, and you're not. You're a very, very pale imitation.
oh God, there's no
This is
way
the Wish
those
version
two love each
of-
other the
of
way
first
that
movie.
they did. Mm-mm.
And even the kills, like they stab him once and kick him over, and he bleeds out.
That's what I didn't understand, and I even said to my friend, like,
Was there a cut? I feel like was there something that they've missed out because he gets one stab, a twist of the knife, and he's knocked over.
So Luke, medically,
Mhm.
kicking him over, does that make him bleed out faster? Was that the
Well,
idea?
It depends where they stabbed him. Like if they've hit an
I stabbed him in the
artery,
stomach though.
yeah. So I don't even buy that either of these characters are done.
But did you
Like, is it a
remember?
setup for something more? Like, I
But
don't.
was
Let's remember the first movie. They took part of the horrific thing is that they took their time stabbing
Slowly.
both of them
Yes.
slowly and enjoying the process and enjoying the fact that they had to watch each other get
Mhm.
stabbed. This guy just cops at once, and it's like, oh well,
I mean, the idea I got was like they kicked him over because maybe it makes him bleed out faster.
bleed out faster or something. Yeah, that would make sense. And like he was drowning in his own blood, which because it came out of his mouth, but
Oh, okay, so maybe he was choking on it. All right.
he wasn't choking beforehand because he was stabbed in the stomach. He would have been.
kicked him into the recovery position, so they probably
Yeah,
kicked him
like
over.
it would like they kicked him into the recovery position exactly. Like
Hmm.
if anything, he should be able to.
I mean,
I don't know.
I got to give her a little credit though. She went down
Yeah.
swinging.
She went down swinging, and I feel like, as I said, I feel like this was her move. If he wasn't in, if he was gone, if he was either dead or gone, it would have made for a better ending. You know what I mean?
I think it would have been an overall stronger movie if it was just her.
Her, right? Yeah, dispose of the
Well, as
boyfriend.
you were saying earlier, if he left her there, it would have set up for that
Stakes,
last scene
like
a lot
that.
better too.
Yeah.
Like,
Like the
what's she gonna do when she finds him again? Like,
Yeah.
like it would have added something. This just felt like
Well,
a fizzle.
the stakes would have been stronger just her alone. Like, A woman
Right.
traveling alone is vulnerable. And they say
Especially-
that everywhere. Just a woman traveling alone, it's very vulnerable because
Like, look at
a fragile woman alone
But
in
look
the
at
woods.
look at the violence against women that is happening in society now.
Right.
That was made for such a bigger social commentary, like the first movie did. You know, about these crimes that happen, and we don't hear about them, and that would have made a more interesting story, right?
No, I absolutely agree. It would have been much stronger without him. She was the character. She was the one to watch. I really enjoyed.
She gets stabbed. Well, anyway,
Well,
Maya
she
gets
stabbed.
gets stabbed. She gets the fuck you, and
Really
she also
enjoyed
gets
that.
kicked
Guys are
gets
turning
kicked
into the
in
recovery
gets
position.
kicked into the recovery position. Then the police show up, and the strangers disappear, but not in the cool way that they disappear in the other movies. You see them literally go, "We have to get in the car and drive around the corner." It's just like, I don't know.
It's strange.
This might be a big, lofty idea, but it feels like the killers in the other movies were almost created by. It's like a comment on the violence of society, and once that violence happens, they disappear back into the general population. You know what I mean? It's like they manifest. Like, this is some kind of weird manifestation thing. These are very obviously humans who just go doodle doodle doodle. I'm going away. Not to say that anything was supernatural. Anything was
No.
supernatural about them, but there was a lot more to it. You know what I mean? There was so much more
No,
to
I get what you're
even
saying.
the second movie. Like,
It's just like it could be anyone. Like there's
Yeah.
it could be anyone.
anyone's
Anyone could be-
capable of this.
anyone could be this violent, and they're around you every single day, and you'd never
Yeah.
know. They're your neighbor, they're your coworker, they're the person in the restaurant, they're the mechanic. I think that's the message here, is that anyone
Or
is capable of this much violence.
they're the people in the hospital that you're recovering in.
In the hospital bed next to you.
Right. So we end this film with Madeline Pesh in hospital.
Alive.
The end.
I don't
Unless
think
you
he's
hung
very
around, for the mid-credits scene,
Oh, really?
because
Which I did.
Marvel, because we get a little bit more. We get a letter from I think it's her parents saying we're thinking of you or something like that. There's a card. There's a card on the table, and it's her tossing and turning. And then all of a sudden she sits up, and as she sits up, you see laying next to her the Scarecrow / Bagman, and that's the end of the mid-credit sequence. It just it's a little flash in the pan moment, but it happens.
Yeah, has Marvel not taught you people anything if you didn't stick around?
Yeah,
for that?
that's I always stick around now. I went to a bit of a Google at the end of a movie. I'm like, is there, will there, can there? Who knows?
Yeah, no, I always stick around at least till mid credits now. Marvel has taught me never to leave.
With of course, to be continued.
Mm-hmm.
Put up on the screen. So let's talk about it. How many useless inhalers are we going to give this one? I mean, there has to be. Luke, you can go first. How many useless inhalers are you going to give this?
I am giving this. Is it out of 5 useless inhalers? Let's go with 5.
It's out of 5. Go out of 5.
I'm giving it 2. It's not a terrible film. They're not terrible actors. It's just a pale imitation, and I'm the expert on pale imitations. It's a pale imitation of the first film. It's like, let's do this, but make it the cheap knockoff version. That's how I felt.
Yeah, not far off. Katie, what about you? How many inhalers?
I'm going to go 2.75 because I had
7.5.
because I had fun with this. I did. I had a good time with it. Madeline really was the movie. She was.
Yeah.
Her scenes were great. This wasn't a terrible movie.
No.
It was sloppy. It was rushed, and you could tell.
Yeah.
I should say, it's not a bad film. It's just
No, it was,
not
and
as good as
nothing.
the
Your
first
review
film.
didn't.
If this was its own thing, I would appreciate it for what it was. But we know what it could have been.
You've got
No.
so much to live up to
No,
when you put that name on it.
and your review didn't say it was a bad movie. Just I had fun with it. Obviously, it's got a big shoes to fill, and it didn't come close to it. Like, and you can't when you have such an emotional connection to the original. I didn't care about these two nearly as much as I cared about the original two. Very satisfying to watch him bleed out.
Or even the brother and sister in the sequel. Like,
Oh no.
you care about those kids.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely care about those kids by the end of that movie.
If I had to rank the characters I cared about the most, it would definitely be original, sequel, these people. And I never rank it like it never goes in sequential order for me. It never. Yeah. That's just the way it worked out this time. So it was very satisfying watching Docker's boy bleed out because he was weak and he deserved it.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to agree. I'm vacillating between a 2 and a 2.5 because there is potential here. There are those moments that are informed by the original movie where all of a sudden there'll be a killer, and it's not telegraphed by sound. You know, that's part of the best parts of that first movie. Well, when some of the best parts when Liv Tyler was alone, and there'd be a killer turning up behind her, or something would happen. And it amped up the tension. I don't think once he got back and she wasn't in her house alone, any sense of tension was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put it down to some poor writing, some poor directing choices, and I don't think that he is the strongest actor. I think they could have found someone who would have made this character at least sympathetic, but I'm not sympathetic towards him. I'm sorry, Froy. But, you know, you're not coming back with a sequel, obviously.
I mean, I really hope not.
He might be.
I think that, you know, Madeline Pesh should, if anything, this should prove to people that watch Madeline Pesh on Riverdale. She was sometimes the best part of that show. She's definitely the best part of this movie.
If his character survives for the next movie, he should be hospital bound the whole movie.
Yeah.
Period.
Right. He should be Laurie Strode Halloween dude.
Yes.
For the whole thing.
Yes. Yep. It should be I'll see you later, honey. I'm leaving you in the hospital, and that should be it.
I'm leaving you to go to this interview in Boston because whatever.
Yeah, no, like leave him alone.
Now let's talk about the critical response because, you know, it's actually done quite well at the box office.
I don't blame it. It was
off an $8.5 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
It's done $35.8 million.
Yeah,
now a lot of that is going to come from The Strangers being in the title.
Right.
Right.
It's in name alone, it was going to do well because people love this franchise.
People are saying this is the worst reboot that they've in recent times.
I disagree.
Which is, you know,
I can think of at least 3 different franchises that I think
it could be Evil Died Tonight, maybe.
It's like I can think of 3 different franchise reboots that did a lot worse than this, but okay.
But there's been no slowing up in the plans. The Strangers 2 is expected to be released in the coming months. Now, there is no timeline, but literally yesterday, they released one image.
Yeah, girl.
She's back in the forest.
Yeah, girl.
She's all messed up again.
She's all messed up again. So, Madeline's bad day in the forest continues in The Strangers Part 2.
Well, hopefully her bad day is boyfriendless.
Very interesting to see what happens because Rennie Harlan has been quoted to say that these next 2 sequels take completely different directions to the franchise. And I think at the moment they've got to, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm looking it up. I gotta see if he's in there. I gotta know. She's
the only cast member that is noted at the moment for that movie, I'm pretty sure.
All right, let's see. Chapter 2. Because so far it's just her.
All of these movies were shot consecutively, just like Fear Street. So much so that they were filming the 3 movies on the same day at some point. So they'd be like, "You're doing this scene for this movie.
Okay.
Change, then you're doing this scene for this movie." And I get production-wise it makes sense, but does it maybe confuse your actors and like yourself as to how much effort and pacing you've put into making sure it works as an individual movie before trying to think of it in the scheme of one big picture?
A trilogy.
I don't know. So look, there will be more strangers coming your way, whether you want it or not. And I think we're going to check it out because, of the strength of the first 2 movies, you got to finish the ride now. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like
yeah,
watching
absolutely.
a TV show that jumps the shark halfway through its run. You're like, well, I've been watching it this long. I need to finish it now. Completist in me
quite
needs to
happy
finish it.
to. Like this wasn't horrible to sit through. It was just, yeah. I hope they do change direction and they do something different to give it a little bit more substance, because right now it was a piss poor imitation.
I'm trying to think of who I would have liked to see instead in his role.
Anyone.
Yeah, obviously, but
Anyone.
But
you know what?
Who played Archie on Riverdale? I like that.
Imagine if they were both in the same movie together. That'd be funny. That'd be great.
He's a cutie. I like him.
Now, we are obviously due for another trip down the sewer sometime soon.
Do we have to
But
do it again?
next time we're gonna be up for doing a release. Everyone's paranoid about stuff moving in the background. Next time we're going to be doing a release commentary is July, baby.
July's a big month for horror. I am ready, baby. I'm
Who
ready.
is coming back to the screen to change out her own trilogy? Maxine fucking Minx. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be definitely checking out Maxine. If you haven't seen the trailers for Maxine, it looks like it's going to be chef's kiss amazing. There is a lot of horror, as Katie said, coming in July. We will be taking a trip down the sewer back to Derry as well at some point, but you never know what we're going to talk about. But until next time, we're going to stay definitely out of the woods.
Yeah.
Because,
or at least stay hidden under the leaves.
Mhm.
Right? We're going to hold on to my Motorola Razor and pray for daylight, ladies and gentlemen, because that's just the way we do it here at Uncensored Horror. Until next time, folks, keep it creepy.